it almost felt like the WNBA wasn't ready for what Caitlin Clark was.
As the spotlight surrounding Caitlin Clark continues to grow, another storyline has started gaining attention among fans and analysts: the developing rivalry between Clark and Angel Reese. Rivalries have always been a powerful force in sports. They create drama, build excitement, and give fans a reason to tune in week after week. In many ways, they help define entire eras of competition. The tension between Clark and Reese did not begin in the WNBA. Their competitive history stretches back to their college days, when both players represented powerhouse programs and faced each other on some of the biggest stages in women's basketball. Those games were intense, emotional, and unforgettable for fans who watched them unfold. When both athletes transitioned to the WNBA, that competitive energy naturally followed them into the professional league. Every matchup between their teams instantly became a headline event. Fans debated their playing styles, compared their statistics, and analyzed every moment of their on-court interactions. Clark represents one type of basketball brilliance. Her game is built around extraordinary shooting range, elite playmaking, and the ability to control the tempo of a game from the perimeter. She thrives in open space, using quick decisions and creative passes to unlock defenses. Reese, on the other hand, brings a completely different presence to the court. Her game is defined by physicality, relentless rebounding, and the ability to dominate the paint. She plays with intensity and emotion, bringing a level of toughness that energizes her teammates and excites her supporters. Because their strengths contrast so sharply, the rivalry has become even more fascinating to watch. Fans see two completely different styles competing for attention and success within the same league. Media coverage has only intensified the discussion. Every comment, interview, or social media post involving either player is examined closely, often fueling debates about who truly represents the future of women's basketball. Despite the noise surrounding these conversations, rivalries like this can ultimately benefit the sport. Competition pushes athletes to perform at their highest level, and the attention generated by these matchups draws more viewers to the league. For the WNBA, the Clark-Reese storyline represents something bigger than a personal battle between two players. It symbolizes the arrival of a new generation that is bringing fresh energy and new audiences into women's basketball. And as both players continue to develop their careers, the rivalry will likely remain one of the most talked about narratives shaping the league's future.
Caitlin Clark is becoming the best player, not because she's white, because she's that good. She's having Larry Bird impact. She's been the driving force of the hottest team in the entire league, despite her record turnovers. Why? Because she's that.
As conversations about Caitlin Clark continued to spread throughout the basketball world, many observers began drawing comparisons between her and one of the sport's most legendary figures, Larry Bird. At first glance, the comparison might seem surprising. Bird played in a completely different era, dominating the NBA during the 1980s with the Boston Celtics. Yet when analysts looked closely at Clark's style of play, they began noticing similarities that were difficult to ignore. Both players share an extraordinary ability to read the game. Their court vision allows them to anticipate plays before they develop, turning ordinary possessions into moments of brilliance. Whether it is delivering a perfectly timed pass or launching a deep shot with unwavering confidence, their instincts often place them one step ahead of everyone else on the floor. Another similarity lies in their fearless approach to competition. Bird built his reputation as one of the most confident players in basketball history. He never hesitated to take the biggest shots or challenge the toughest opponents. Clark demonstrates that same mindset every time she steps onto the court. Her willingness to attempt long-range shots, even in high-pressure situations, reminds fans of the kind of audacity that defined Bird's career. However, the comparison is not just about skill. It is also about impact. Bird helped elevate the NBA to new levels of popularity during the 1980s, particularly through his legendary rivalry with Magic Johnson. Their battles captured national attention and played a major role in transforming the NBA into a global entertainment powerhouse. Many analysts believe Clark has the potential to create a similar shift within the WNBA. Her games attract massive television audiences. Social media platforms explode with highlights whenever she delivers a spectacular play. Even casual sports fans who previously paid little attention to women's basketball have begun tuning in simply to watch her compete. This level of interest suggests that Clark's influence may extend beyond individual performances. Instead, she could represent a historic turning point for women's basketball as a whole. If her trajectory continues, Clark may help usher the league into an era where mainstream audiences follow WNBA games with the same enthusiasm that has traditionally surrounded men's basketball. And that possibility is precisely why so many people are paying attention to every step of her journey.
We all realize that Caitlin Clark single-handedly is responsible for the WNBA.
As the buzz around Caitlin Clark continued to grow, one voice stood out among the many basketball legends offering their opinions. That voice belonged to Larry Bird, a name deeply connected to the history and culture of basketball. Bird's perspective carries enormous weight within the sport. Throughout his career with the Boston Celtics, he established himself as one of the greatest competitors and shooters the game has ever seen. His reputation as a fierce leader and brilliant playmaker turned him into a symbol of basketball excellence. When Bird publicly spoke about Clark, his words immediately drew attention across the sports world. He expressed strong admiration for the way she plays and the influence she is already having on the game. According to Bird, Clark possesses the rare ability to change how people view basketball. He emphasized that her impact will likely extend far beyond individual achievements or statistics. In his view, the kind of excitement she generates is something that can transform the sport itself. Bird encouraged Clark to remain focused on her path and ignore distractions that often come with fame. The basketball world, he suggested, can sometimes become noisy when a new star rises quickly. Criticism, jealousy, and doubt often appear whenever someone begins to dominate the conversation. But Bird made it clear that great athletes must learn how to navigate those pressures. He pointed out that Clark's journey should not be defined by the opinions of critics or rivals. Instead, she should continue doing what brought her success in the first place, playing with confidence, creativity, and relentless determination. While many fans celebrated Bird's support, others began noticing a different dynamic unfolding within the league itself. Some players appeared uneasy about how quickly Clark had become the center of attention. The spotlight that followed her arrival seemed almost overwhelming, especially for athletes who had spent years establishing their own reputations within the WNBA. Names like Aya Wilson and Angel Reese were frequently mentioned in discussions about the league's hierarchy. Both players are extremely talented and have built impressive careers through consistent performance. However, Clark's sudden surge in popularity created a new layer of competition, not only on the court but also in the broader conversation surrounding the league. Fans and analysts began debating which players truly represented the future of women's basketball. Social media amplified these debates, turning every game, highlight, and statistic into part of a larger narrative about who would define the next era of the sport. Through all of this, Clark continued doing what she does best, playing basketball with the same fearless approach that made her famous in college. And as the discussions intensified, the idea that she might reshape the league's trajectory started feeling less like speculation and more like reality.
People want to portray and paint the narrative that there are racial tensions in the WNBA as a result of Caitlin Clark. I would say that there.
Beyond individual rivalries and highlight plays, the broader impact of Caitlin Clark on the WNBA has become impossible to ignore. Her arrival has triggered discussions about television ratings, attendance numbers, and the overall visibility of women's basketball in mainstream sports culture. For years, the WNBA has worked tirelessly to grow its audience and establish a stronger foothold in the sports entertainment industry. Many incredible athletes have contributed to that effort, building the league's reputation through skill, dedication, and perseverance. Clark's emergence, however, seems to have accelerated that growth in ways few people expected. Television broadcasts featuring her games frequently attract significantly larger audiences than typical regular season matchups. Arena tickets sell faster, and social media engagement spikes whenever she takes the floor. Even casual sports fans who previously ignored women's basketball now find themselves curious about what the excitement is all about. This surge of interest has led many analysts to suggest that Clark may be acting as a catalyst for a larger transformation within the league. The WNBA has long deserved broader recognition for the talent it showcases. Players like Aya Wilson, Breanna Stewart, and Diana Taurasi have delivered extraordinary performances for years. Now, with Clark drawing new viewers into the spotlight, those fans are discovering the depth of talent that already exists across the league. From a business perspective, this attention could have enormous implications. Increased viewership strengthens television contracts, boosts advertising revenue, and encourages sponsors to invest more heavily in the sport. In other words, the excitement surrounding Clark may be helping open doors that benefit not just one player but the entire league. The WNBA's future success will always depend on the collective strength of its athletes, teams, and organizations. Yet it is undeniable that certain players possess the rare ability to elevate the visibility of the sport itself. Clark appears to be one of those players. Her influence stretches far beyond individual statistics or game results. Instead, it lies in the way she captures the imagination of audiences and inspires new conversations about the potential of women's basketball.
Players got the spotlight this season because of Caitlin Clark. Not to mention just overall, Caitlin Clark brought millions, literally, more eyeballs to the league.
As the conversation about Caitlin Clark continues to evolve, one thing becomes increasingly clear: her journey represents more than the rise of a single star. It reflects a broader shift in how women's sports are viewed, celebrated, and supported across the world. Throughout sports history, transformative athletes have often emerged during moments when their leagues were ready for change. These individuals not only excel on the court but also reshape public perception of the sport itself. Clark appears to be stepping into that role for the WNBA. Her performances consistently push the boundaries of what fans expect from women's basketball. Deep three-point shots, dazzling assists, and fearless leadership have become trademarks of her style. But just as important is the energy she brings to every game. Fans see a player who competes with passion, embraces the spotlight, and refuses to shy away from high-pressure moments. This kind of presence resonates strongly with younger audiences who are discovering the sport for the first time. Young players watching Clark may begin to imagine themselves following similar paths, pursuing basketball dreams with the belief that women's sports can command global attention. Of course, success at this level also brings criticism and challenges. High-profile athletes often face scrutiny from media commentators, rival players, and online debates that amplify every mistake or controversy. Clark is learning to navigate that environment while continuing to focus on improving her game. Many experienced players understand that these pressures are part of becoming a superstar. The ability to remain focused despite distractions often separates great athletes from truly legendary ones. For the WNBA, the emergence of players like Clark signals a promising future. The league is entering a period where talent, storytelling, and cultural momentum are converging in powerful ways. If that momentum continues, women's basketball could reach levels of popularity and influence that once seemed distant. And at the center of that transformation stands a young player whose fearless approach to the game has already begun reshaping the conversation around the sport. The story of Caitlin Clark is still being written, but the impact she has already made suggests that this new era of women's basketball is only just beginning.